All right, we're back for the second part of our budget review, and this is for Public Works. We have with us our new Public Works Director, James Martin, Deputy Director of Engineering, Corey Gordon, Deputy Director of Municipal Operations, Thad Brown, and our Public Works and Park Superintendent, Travis McDonald. So I'll kick it over to you guys.
All right, thank you guys for your time. As you guys all know, we have a new director, James. We are going to be starting off and letting him get his feet wet yet, so we're going to take this and he's going to learn as we're going, and we're going to learn a little from him as we go. So thank you, Mayor, for introducing everybody. We're starting off with the 2024 street construction. That's not the first slide, is it? Mm-hmm. No. Yeah. Go up one. Go up one. There. Nope. So 2024 street construction. The street rehabilitation completed on Lucerne Drive, Namath Street, Elizabeth Street, Kenwood Drive, and Whitman Park Lane. We threw a couple pictures on there so you guys could kind of see the areas and what we have accomplished this year. And then the 24 street construction for the newly constructed roads, Kelly Lake Drive, Woodcrest Heights, and Corey, help me out with the top one. Gosling Way. Thank you. 2024, we also did the utility projects that we had Whitman Storm Sewer upsizing on, Kenwood Drive Storm Sewer and water main. And then Elizabeth Street, I believe that is.
Yes.
They all look the same to me.
Yeah. I could have just put the same picture in there the whole time, right? Just kept going. We continued with our sidewalk replacement program for the ADA accessibility through the city and trip hazards, stuff like that. This picture is actually Kai's from Park Street to Winnebago Ave, and that was a pretty long stretch. We had some dips and dives. We did have to do a couple aprons on this one also because of how much it settled. So that was all taken care of. We also did a bunch of streets throughout the city. This isn't just the only thing we did with the $30,000 that we had for the program that we do, the sidewalk rehabilitation program. 2024 street maintenance. We continued our crack sealing program
There it goes. Stop.
Continued our crack sealing program to extend the life of the pavement. Park Street asphalt repaving. So these are some patches that we did, and mastic on the street. This was done prior to the Grunsky bike ski. Okay, I got it right. It was in pretty bad shape. We had some potholes and a lot of deteriorated asphalt on there, so this was a big street to get done. We're continuing road patching for the excavation permits. So going through here, we have our 2025 budget overview. Capital improvements, internal service funds, as we're going through, you'll see all of them that we're going to be touching on. Starting with capital improvements. Yeah.
All right. For next year, we are planning on repaving Wilson Street from Harding to 8th Street, Harding Street from Wilson to London Street, Racine Street, that will be the DOT contract from 3rd Street to 9th Street. That is the one that we have the STP Urban Grant for on that one. Go ahead.
Alderman Sevenik.
So I'm looking at this, and I see that dollar amount for Wilson Street from Harding to 8th. That's only like a 1 block stretch compared to the Harding Street from Wilson to London, which is like 3 blocks? Just those numbers seem to be interesting to me. I mean, it's a very small street, and I like the idea that you're doing, I mean, this is actually like 2 years behind schedule
I believe that is
because
the
of
total
the
cost.
utility issues that we had, but I'm happy that they're all linked together, because when you do a project like this, they're together. So
Looking at the estimate that I did for the project, it is coming out at that $85,000 range.
what is it?
I understand what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
It does,
It's not a very long block compared to,
So they're doing the mains on the street and also the laterals on the street? So
no,
the mains,
that's not included on.
no, because.
That's not in the capital improvement part?
Yeah,
No, this is just the street. That is something that I will have to look
Okay.
further at.
yeah,
on,
sorry. Continue with what you're
Good,
doing.
good point though, because you're right.
I mean, the only reason I have been pushing for this for probably 6 years, and then it kept running into certain issues or problems, and I've actually shown that Harding Street to 3 public works directors, so just. to
We've
give
had a
you an
lot of them in a short period of time.
And so, James, you might have to go out there and take a look. But I know we had, Thad did bring up a good point there. Part of the reason for the delay and everything is that the utilities are awful there.
Yeah, so a little bit of explanation on Wilson Street is there is a storm sewer that comes down Wilson Street, and then it cuts along the north edge of Hart Park, and then it ties into De Pere Street. When we did work on De Pere Street and 7th Street a number of years ago, we noticed that there's a storm sewer similar to what we ran into on Whitman Park this last year. The storm sewer coming into the manhole actually comes in at a lower elevation, so the water's got to jump up in the manhole and flow out. What we did when 8th Street was redone a number of years ago, we made accommodations to reroute that storm sewer. So that storm sewer that runs through the park and connects over there would be abandoned.
And that's what delayed De Pere
Correct.
Street.
Yes.
Yep.
So there's been some of that. It will be rerouted and redone. There is also some sanitary work and things like that. That is not part of that 85,000 though. And I will double check that number for
Okay.
you. Racine Street, that is the grant. I believe that project is actually being let by the DOT next week, so we'll have a better idea where that project comes in cost-wise. Old Polly Lane, we've had a number of complaints with the apartments there. That road's in rather bad shape, so we have that project in there.
Alderman Sevenick?
Thank you. I only learned this year that Old Polly Lane is actually something we have to deal with. I always thought it was part of the apartments over there, and it's
only
not.
part of it. It's not all the way around.
Right, I realize
It's
that.
just like a little piece.
Yeah.
And but it's still $50,000, so,
48.
but,
Definitely needs a little attention.
Yeah. So moving on here, we are looking at redoing the pavement markings on 3rd Street from roughly Manderfields to Racine Street, and then on Racine Street from 3rd Street down to the roundabout or just south of 1st Street. With Racine Street North, there are going to be bike lanes on that part of the street. Also, Plank Road currently has bike lanes. So what we're looking at doing is readjusting some of the lanes on 3rd Street to put a center turn lane, a two-way turn lane there, and then account for bike lanes there to connect the bike lanes not only on Highway 47 or De Pere Street, but also Plank Road, then connecting them down south on Racine, over the bridge and up street, which then ties into Neenah and some of the the continuation there. So just trying to kind of fill those gaps, and then also that those pavement markings are getting quite old, so they need to be updated.
Alderman Sevenick?
What, again, is our share of the Racine Street? Again, this is a street we wanted done for about 15 years. We finally got the grant.
So
We do have a large portion.
that it's like 80% is what the DOT is covering, so we would be like 20%, so
Okay.
whatever. that
Jennifer, do you know that number offhand?
I was just going to pull up this.
It's,
3.6 million in bulk and on your presentation.
Yeah, that's what it, I don't think we're paying 3.6.
that's not our share. It's not
No,
that
it's not
high.
our share.
Jennifer will get it.
That
Keep
includes the grant.
going. Right.
So then, the other thing that we're looking at doing, seeing that we are doing some of the pavement restriping, also the work with the Racine Street project to the north. We've gone through the traffic signals throughout the city. We've done some inspections on them. We're going to try and upgrade stuff as we go forward here over the next handful of years. So we are looking at upgrading the traffic signals, the wires, maybe moving a couple of the existing poles or adding a pole, just trying to improve that intersection and the functionality of those signals as long as we're right there working at that intersection. And then the last thing here on the list is the third edition of Woodland Hills. This is the subdivision that Mr. Hagens would have started, and then Mr. Atkins bought, and is part of the Lake Cottage Association out there. Mr. Atkins has asked for that first phase, not his whole entire phase, just that first phase where most of the homes are, to get curb and gutter and things like that, that the residents, that's something they want. So that's why we've added this. It's built out with the exception of maybe one or two homes.
Director Sassman?
As the project is in the system right now, we'd be borrowing about $645,000 for the Racine Street. But again, as Corey mentioned, those numbers probably in the next week may change a little bit.
Alderman Sevenick?
So basically, Jennifer has informed us it's 647,000?
645.
645. Thank you for that.
Does that include the stormwater portion, Jim?
That's just what we would plan to borrow.
So there'll be a little bit of more there, so. We've done the sanitary sewer. Later on, you will see there is a small amount for sanitary because that is a non-participating cost on the DOT for adjusting manholes and things of that nature. Sanitary, the storm sewer is part of that contract, and that is a participating cost. The main is, so, but
Nice looking city garage.
there we go. Do you want to touch on this one, Thad, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I can do it. 2025 budget overview. You're going to see that we had some decreasing public works facility. The main one for the public works facility is the second phase of the solar that is taken off of that. And then our street equipment replacement is dropped also. And we'll be going through that in the next couple slides. So public works facility, page 149 to 158. So the public works facility is maintaining all of our fleet vehicles, police, city vehicles, Menasha Utilities, Menasha School District, and maintenance of the public works facility that includes salt storage, cold storage building that is also police evidence lockup, recycling drop-off facility, and our fuel station. You're going to see a couple of bigger increases here. One would be in the tires. and that is $15,000. That is actually the cost of a set of loader tires. So we had to put that into the budget. It's above and beyond what we budget for yearly. So that would, is thrown in there as an increase for you guys' approval. And the solar phase 2, the loan payment that we would have is $9,240 on that, added to the 14,000 something for our first phase. So that is both added in there. We did drop a little bit our electricity due to the solar. We dropped that by $10,000. That's 2203. And then our heat also we dropped by $5,000. We're starting to get the HVAC, all the kinks kind of out of there, so we're able to start dropping these a little bit and being a little more efficient with the building. The next street equipment, page 159 to 161. I believe this is the one, Jennifer. Does this change in their book or not? Do you guys have the 3 pieces of equipment on yours, or do you have more on there?
I added them under other equipment.
Okay. So we have the field groomer, which during our capital improvements we talked, we had 2 vehicles. We had the solid waste truck and then 3002, which is one of our park dump trucks. We had to move that park dump truck out, and we put in the field groomer and the skid steer to kind of keep the money value equal to what we had, as our field groomer is no longer functional. So that is the field groomer for $30,000, and we have our solid waste collection truck. That is a front load. That is $425,000, and then our skid steer for $65,000. I must have forgot to take that out. Corey, I'm going to let you handle the sewage fund.
Alderman Sevenick?
This all comes from the equipment replacement fund anyways, right?
Yes, all that.
It doesn't affect the levy.
We actually lowered it. The cost was lowered with taking that truck out and putting these 2 in from what we had in there previously.
Okay, up next, these are the enterprise funds for the sanitary sewer and the storm sewer, pages 127 through 148. On the sanitary end, there is a decrease in that budget from 2024 to 2025. Most of that is probably due in the construction end. We're not planning as much construction this year, but we had kind of anticipated that here last year when we did the sanitary laterals. We figured that that fund would ebb and flow with depending on how many laterals we were doing. On the storm utility end, there is a decrease there also. So in the sanitary end, one thing we're adding in here is crusher rental. This is something that we do in a couple different accounts. This is for crushing the salvage concrete and asphalt that we pull off of our streets and reusing that material for either road base. In this case, what we're doing is with our sanitary lateral replacement program, we're using some of our own material for backfill in the road. So that's why we're adding a little bit in here to kind of cover the cost of that. And then the other thing that's added in here is a little more lift station maintenance and inspections on that. Services provided in here, we maintain roughly 260,000 feet of sewer. the wastewater treatment plant through the Menasha Sewage Commission. We have costs there. We do sanitary sewer televising. Our industrial sewer monitoring, that's where we monitor our industries, Intertape Polymer, Durafiber, the Menasha Utility Water Plant. That's all part of the industrial sewer monitoring program. The other thing here is the Diggers Hotline Locates is taken care of here. And then just sewer manholes, lateral repairs there. Also the work that we would be doing on Wilson and Harding, any of the sanitary work would be there. So as I kind of hinted at before, Racine Street, there is a small amount there that is the city's portion of the non-participating grant items. Typically, that's going to be sanitary manhole adjustments, things of that nature. You have the Harding Street sanitary sewer there. One project, you can see down on the bottom there, some significant future projects. We are looking at what our options are for the Fox River crossing. So by the, kind of behind the Menasha 1 building, there is a sewer that crosses the canal, then it goes over to the point by Sunoco, crosses the river, and then runs along the river by the old Gilbert Mill. That sewer varies in condition, and obviously it's a significant project to try and tackle. So we're looking at starting that design and seeing what our options are for that before we get blindsided with something there. Construction of the sanitary laterals, Harding Street, we have a number of laterals that we're looking at replacing there, and then also again on Wilson Street, there's a number of laterals there. The stormwater utility, pages 134 to 148. The city maintains roughly 300,000 lineal feet of storm sewer throughout the city. We do annual catch basin cleaning, street sweeping, leaf collection, all part of our annual DNR MS4 permit. We also provide public information outreach and stormwater treatment facilities similar to the one that we installed at the Bryn site here a couple of years ago. In the stormwater utility, you have some of the engineering, staff time, equipment, our MS4 permit, that's a big thing that we handle on our end. And then on the street construction end, we have our annual supplies, materials, concrete. And then again, here you see crusher or crushed stone. That is part of our annual salvage and reuse. For the street construction, as I alluded to earlier, we're looking at roughly $423,000 in cost share for the storm sewer on Racine Street. That would include some of the curb and gutter and the actual main catch basins, things of that nature. Old Pulley Lane, there will be some spot replaced curb and gutter there. Harding Street, this one's a little bit larger because we will be rerouting that storm sewer in addition to having some curb and things of that nature. Wilson Street, again, curb and gutter replacement there. You want to touch on this one? Streets.
Yep. So stormwater utility for our street cleaning, pages 141. That is our street sweeping that we do, the labor, the equipment. For the snow removal, landfill tipping fees, which has increased by $1 this year from or 53 to 54, I believe. And sweeper gutter brooms. The snow and ice removal, pages 141 to 142, has not changed drastically with the labor, the materials, or labor and the equipment. The materials, you'll see on here that we usually purchase 1,000 tons of salt. We decreased that to 500 tons of salt this year due to the stockpile that we had from last season. That material amount, I can't say would stay at the 500 tons yearly, but we're hoping that we can continue to decrease as we're trying different things, using more salt brine and doing stuff like that. So it could fluctuate a little bit, but we'd like to keep the 1,500 ton in our salt storage for yearly use.
Alderman Sevenick?
The snow and ice removal, we don't take all the money from stormwater utility. Do we even take some? Well, you have stormwater utility. I understand the street cleaning because I know that comes out of the stormwater utility funding. But the snow and ice removal,
Some of it goes to the stormwater.
some of it does?
I think primarily is it the actual removal, not the actual
Yes.
plowing. So like when we're hauling snow and
Okay.
things like that, that's where some of that cost is.
Yeah, because I didn't think it was all of it. Couldn't have been. I was worried you guys changed things in the budget again. All right, thank you.
Storm sewers and drains, page 142 to 144. This is the labor and equipment for storm sewers and structures, the televising of the storm sewers, the DNR MS4 permitting that Corey does, sewer manhole and lateral repairs, rear lot drainage program, pond vegetation maintenance program that we've stuck a little more time into this year. Corey, do you have that, or for the plantings and everything?
So with the pond vegetative maintenance last year in 2024, we did we worked with McMahon to go around and evaluate all our ponds and put an action plan together. Part of that action plan is actually doing some of the work and the recommendations. So that's where this pond vegetative maintenance program comes in.
So you'll see the decrease in there from taking that out from the plant, the stormwater plantings, and then we also lowered the locates by $10,000 in the budget line. There we go. These pages are all messed up.
I didn't skip another one, did I?
Maybe.
I'll take this one for you, Thad. So storm sewer and drains, pages 142 through 144. The annual supplies and materials, bedding stone for some of the storm sewer repairs that we would do, catch basin repairs, the clear stone, this would be different from the material that we're crushing. Obviously, catch basins and pipes and things of that nature come out of there. In the construction end, I misspoke a little bit before that. The number that we previously talked, the 400 and change there on Racine Street, that was for the curb and gutter portion. This 186,000 would be our portion of the pipe. And then the Wilson Street pipe there, and then storm sewer on Harding Street, the pipe on those streets.
Stormwater utility parking lots, page 144. This is just the maintenance of the storm sewers and catch basin and stuff like that we have within our parking lots. The curb and gutter, so hasn't changed in a long time. That's always basically been the same. Recycling of yard waste. Pages 144 and 145. So this is a split that we have for the recycling and our yard waste. And the labor and equipment for labor and equipment for collection and maintenance of yard waste that we do. So the leaf sucking and the brush pickups that we do yearly or monthly. The one thing you'll see in the budget for that it was lowered was our 2905, our equipment rental. We did drop that by $10,000 to keep it a little more accurate, to get it where we're closer to what was spent last year. And then we're moving on to the Public Works General Fund, which will hit these on the next page. Street construction and excavation, pages 265 to 268. Next one, Corey. So our street construction, this includes all the maintenance we do through the city, the crack sealing, milling and overlaying. We are continuing the funding for our mastic. That is what we're using around our catch basins and some of our cracks in our streets. And you guys seen that on the last couple slides previously when we did Park Street. The asphalt patching, the 3018, we still have some lead service repairs in there that have been coming up that were unforeseen. So we did leave a little bit of money in the budget for that. And then some of the concrete patching that we have for our small projects, we were requesting that we added an extra $10,000 to this account. We do have 9th Street patching, east of Racine for our concrete panels, and then we also still have some bad sections on the island for asphalt that we would be excavating and replacing some of the deteriorated spots. This also has our annual bridge inspections in here, and this is not part of the bridge, Racine Street Bridge. This is Washington Street. What's that? 3rd Street, Washington Street. We have a little bridge down over by
River Street.
River. So those are the ones that this is the inspections for.
This also has $100,000 in for Harding Street. So your question before with Wilson, this might separate that gap a little bit further, what you were talking about before, Alderman Sevenick.
So I apologize, this is the one that actually has the majority of the snow, salt in it, so I'll start that over. So this does all of our equipment for plowing our snow blades, plow blades, brooms, etc. Like I said before, the salt, we went down to 500 tons of salt instead of 1,000. We do have 100 on reserve. This did lower the budget amount by like 29,500. The salt cost did increase from 24 to 25, from 83.72 to 87.07 per ton. It continues to rise, and it's been doing it every year, so we can't really predict where it's going to be in the next. Yeah, and how much we're going to use, we don't know.
Alderman Sevenick.
Time here, but just to help me out, the solution that you put out, is that made in-house then with salt, or is that a special product?
What's
or
that?
Combination?
The salt brine we make in-house, so we have tanks that actually put it out. That's what you guys see going out and making those white lines down the road.
Which I hate, but yeah.
That is salt brine, so that's breaking the bond between the pavement and the ice. So when we come and scrape it off, it comes off a lot easier, and we're not having to add as much salt to be able to make that break. It does help a lot. We have seen it. We started, excuse me, we started putting it in parking lots when we had time. And that did help a lot also to make it muley, break it up. And then we have also tanks that are spraying it directly onto our salt as we're applying the salt to the
So
streets.
do you think you're using, when you do the brine, do you believe that you're using less salt out into our environment than if you were just spreading salt?
Yes.
Okay, I knew that, but I just wanted to say
So
that in
putting
case people are
putting
watching.
brine on the salt as it's coming out of the truck, the salt will actually, when it's wet, it's not going to bounce as much. It'll actually grab. And with the snow, it's not, in ice storms and stuff like that, it's staying where we're placing it instead of it running all over the road and bouncing into the curb lines. And it helps activate quicker with the salt brine.
I'm sure you've heard this plenty, and I'm sure many of us have mentioned this, but, and James is here today, but you can tell the difference in our plowing when you cross Nicollet Boulevard. And I believe that's true. So many people have indicated that to me, that they know when they've left Menasha, entered Appleton or Neenah. You guys have always done an incredible job, and I think it's because your staff takes extra pride in the fact that you do the best job. And I'm just not whistling here. I mean, I truly, truly believe it and see it.
Thank you, we appreciate that. We did mention that to Laura, that after the first snowfall, we'd be calling her.
That's right.
Alderman Rapella.
Thank you, Mayor. Thad, with the continued decrease in snow that we're seem to be getting up here in in Wisconsin, last year you had a bunch of the gentlemen working on the pavilion and the police station and lots of different jobs. Are you planning ahead for maybe some potential lack of snow again this year?
Yes, we are. We have the fire department that's in the midst of doing it. We are also working on ideas for the trestle trail repair for the railings. We did a test sample of it previously, which didn't turn out very well. The posts were actually wrong, so we had to close the trestle trail down for a day and then make the posts ourselves. So we got that taken care of. So we kind of worked the bugs out of it, and we think we're going to be pretty good to continue with that upon approval from obviously the park director and the park director for Fox Crossing, Amanda. They'll get together and then we'll figure out if that's going to be a project that we're going to tackle.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yep. Next line is street signs and markings. This is page 272 to 275. As you guys are aware that we do make all of our own signage, paint our streets, the lines in our streets, the shorter sections are abbeys and crosswalks and stuff like that we're doing. We do hire out the county to do our long line striping, and that has been a huge savings with the material and everything we did and the time we put into it for the 4,500, I believe, something like that we spent for them to come in to do these areas. So that's working out real well. We actually have our sign guy and another guy going with him and setting cones and helping them guys out as they're going, which also decreased the costs that they charge us. You're going to see an increase in this budget for, is it 3018? It's for the parts that we're going to need, so 2404 maybe? 2404, you're going to see an increase of around 10 grand. We need to purchase 2 trombone arms, the loop detectors, wire, and everything for the 3rd and Racine lane stripe, restriping, the project that we have. So we want to get that all done before we do the lane striping. I believe you're epoxy paint for that, so you don't go over it every year. This actually is, it's 7-8 years usually the time frame on the epoxy paint for the streets?
Contractors.
What's that? Okay. Moving on to sidewalks and crosswalks, page 276 and 278. This is the sidewalk count. We do the same thing as we basically do with the $30,000 of borrowed money. We're replacing sidewalk blocks, ADA compliance, trip, fall hazards, settling. We're coming up with different ways to be able to terrace shaving to get water to flow off instead of replacing sidewalk. We've tried everything. We have a crew that is very efficient at sidewalks, so some of the time it's cheaper to just pull out and redo it than to come up with a way of fixing something and leaving it there. So this sidewalk count is only an increase in budget due to wages and insurance. That's what I have on that one. The next one is street lighting, pages 279 to 281. This is all the street lights that is maintained by us, not Menasha Utilities. Labor and equipment, our electrician would go out for changing bulbs, broken wires, stuff like that. One of the increases that we're going to see is electricity costs, or not an increase, electricity cost for all the street lights that we pay for. And phase 2 of the LED upgrading that will be purchased here in 2024 and replaced in 2025. That is the 80-20 split with a DOT, the carbon reduction grant. And parking lots, page 282 to 284. Some of the maintenance that we do on the parking ramp is the sealing and washing of the deck of the parking ramp and inspections. The vehicle rental, we dropped $2,750 to more accurately reflect what the budget has been. And refuse collection, pages 285 to 290. This is our commercial and residential refuse collection. The increase that we've seen in here is one of them was the IT and the wages and insurance. Like I stated before, the tipping fee has went up from $53 a ton to $54 a ton. And you'll see an increase in line 3015, and that is due to upping the carts due to the residents out east, the new residents that we're going to be getting out east. We had to purchase more carts, so we had the inventory. We were running really short here this year. Weed cutting, 291 to 293. We lowered our, vehicle rental by about $3,000 for this, the 2905 account, to more accurately reflect what we've been using there. It's the grass cutting and weed control. And then lift bridges. Racine Street Bridge, page 249 to 297. 294 to 297, thank you. This is labor and equipment, obviously for the bridge operation. We increased the same as what the other ones have, IT and wages and insurance. The one thing that has been a big kind of outreach from residents and staff is noticing the cracks that were in the concrete deck and railing of the concrete parapets. I couldn't get it out. So this is still a DOT recommended product. We did not use what they used. It was, they have a yellowing on theirs, so you can really see it sticks out. This is a quick stitch, which is still approved by the DOT for this. Going into the cracks, getting into the cracks, you still have a 4,000 PSI after it's cured. It's a urethane crack repair that we use on it, and this turns a gray concrete color. So it's kind of hard to see in the pictures. You'll see it a little bit, but it's not as drastic yellowing as you'll see what was put out there previously.
All right, I think Alderman Grotti first and Alderman Sevenick.
Thank you. Is that a shadow of Mike Taylor taking pictures? I'm just kidding. My question is, with the new bridge that we do have now, we got to save up for a rainy day. So I don't know, your repairs and maintenance budget for this. We don't have any really money in there. If there's something really happens with our bridge and we got to start throwing money in there, we got to think outside the box and into the future of how we're going to fund some of the repairs that this bridge is going to take on once, Menasha owns it. So just keep that on your radar and figure out ways that we can increase that budget or whatever and use it. Just my thoughts on future.
Alderman Sevenick.
Oh, I thought maybe they would reply or something.
Yes, that's something that we are looking into. That's the reason why we are adding the deck sealer, the sealing of the deck. We will be doing that here this spring, hopefully, when we do our shutdown. There's a company that goes out, it's a xylene product, not a xylene, I can't think of it now. It's a penetrating sealer that actually will go into the deck and it'll seal the pores of the deck. That'll help. The same thing with the cracks. So salt water can't get in there, water can't get in there and start causing damage. That is something, the upkeep of the bridge that we have, the maintenance that we stick into it is going to be big for the longevity of the bridge, so that's why we're adding this stuff to it. We can discuss and talk about different options on what we can do or have a slush fund, as you said, to come up if something drastic did happen. So we do have extra money in here for parts and stuff like that that I budgeted last year. We didn't use a lot of it last year through the budget, but next year we're getting a little better idea of what we're going to need, parts, pieces that are coming up, and then to be able to buy extra parts to have on hand instead of waiting for stuff to show up. So I hope that answers your question.
I think a little bit of what Ted is suggesting is something we've talked about is we've never owned a big bridge before, which I think the state of Wisconsin, I think it started under Scott Walker, why we went in that direction. It's terrible for small communities like ours. Say 10, 15 years from now, something happens, we don't have the ability to fix that bridge. So I think, and you can correct me if you want, is that we start to create some type of fund like we do with our equipment replacement, a bridge replacement fund, something. We can start off very small because it is a brand new bridge. But I think it would be a good idea for us to do that for the future, or if something happened, who knows what kind of emergencies. Could have a tornado or a collision of some sort, and then we're stuck, and I don't think the state's going to come and rescue us. So just kind of shooting that more to Jennifer and possibly the mayor on thinking about that. But my question then is how often do we do the sealer? I thought we only do that like every other year, or maybe every third year.
The sealing of the bread, the deck?
Deck, yeah, those cracks and stuff. Because I don't think we've done it on Washington for some time. I think maybe this year we might have.
With this being a brand new bridge, I would recommend for the $7,000 it's going to cost us to do it every year.
Oh, yeah.
It's cheap insurance.
And send the bill to DOT for the wonderful job that they did. Did you hear me, DOT?
So we will be also needing to go back out and doing some more crack repair that once it rained, we could see some of the cracks that we missed. They're more of hairline cracks that aren't really cracks yet, but when it rained, you could tell where water was there, and then it sat in that crack, and it was still wet when it dried. So we noticed more cracks that we're going to have to take care of, but that's something that we'll have to get next spring when we do our washing and all that kind of stuff. But that's something that we're going to have to close the bridge down for again to be able to do those cracks. So it's a pretty quick cure time, but it's a pretty long bridge. So.
For a new bridge, we shouldn't even be talking about cracks, you know? And I know I joked about DOT, but I'm serious. I mean, I still don't think we should have, or had been required to take ownership. I don't know if that's still, if we have or not, or what, because I never get a correct answer on that. But, you know, you build something that's not what you expect, and then they hand it over to you and say, now you deal with it. That's crazy.
The bridge has been handed over to the city of Menasha
No.
as of substantial completion.
We got the keys.
I don't know. Yeah, I know you've been running.
From
out
what
there a
DOT
few
said, I
times.
don't know legal, anything like that, but from what I've been being told from asking questions and stuff, that's what they've told us.
That'd be like, you built a new house, but yet you got cracks in the foundation. It's like, oh, here you go. You kidding me? I don't know. It's just frustrating. I mean, for the public, we're not talking 3 or 4 cracks. We're talking in the hundreds, which is just ridiculous.
Alderman Nichols?
Thank you. Can you use that sealant product on the sidewalk portions of the bridge as well?
Yes,
And is that the plan?
yes.
Thank
The
you.
entire bridge.
Thank you.
Alderman Perkins?
So cracks, are those, I'm just asking, is that a normal thing? I mean, or is that this particular bridge has some issues?
Concrete cracks, it's the nature of it.
Right?
The extent of cracking, I'm not a bridge expert, so I couldn't answer that. If this is a lot of cracks to not a lot of cracks, I couldn't answer that, but concrete does crack.
So next time we talk, you'll be like an expert and be able to tell me?
I'm learning a lot on this bridge, so.
You certainly are.
Thank you, Pat.
Alderman Severnick?
I would like to share with Alderman Perkins, and maybe this body, is that I, along with another individual, walked the old bridge before it was deconstructed, and I could find 2 cracks. Like Thad, I'm not an engineer and I'm not an expert, but we didn't have any of these hairline cracks at all on the old bridge. You know, maybe underneath it was something different, but I never voted for the new bridge. Neither did half the council. Our former mayor vetoed us.
Moving on. And then special revenues fund, recycling. This is our recycling collection of carts for residential. This does have our yard waste in it. That is the 44%. And we also have the 266-1029, which is our appliance account. This does the equipment for hauling, collecting of the single stream, the yard waste that we have. Same as before, the global increase that we've seen, IT, wages, and insurance. The revenues included in the recycling consolidation grant and the commodity revenues are part of this. The recycling grant has been staying pretty close. 2024, we did not get a commodity revenue. So hopefully that'll pick back up for next year. And we will get something back for that. It's normally around 5,000-ish, something like that. So hopefully that'll come back around and they'll start getting some sales of recyclables that we're sending in. Thank you.
Does anybody else? Yeah, lots of bridges. Are there any other questions regarding the Public Works budget review? Seeing none then, that concludes this evening, so I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? All those in favor? Those opposed? We are adjourned at 7:41. Thank you, everybody.